The playoffs are here, and you can predict the action all the way to the finals with FanDuel Predicts. Predict the spread, the total points, and even the game-winning moments that make the playoffs. Sign up and get a $25 bonus with FanDuel Predicts.
Offered by FanDuel Prediction Markets, LLC, a registered futures commission merchant. 18-plus bonus is non-withdrawable and expires 7 days after receipt. Trading derivatives involves significant risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Manage your activity with their consumer protection tools. Restrictions apply. See terms at FanDuel.com/predicts/bonus-offer-terms.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Friday, May 29th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Beautiful day on the way. Sun, clouds, high 79. Saturday would be the worst of the weekend, partly cloudy. The high's only going to reach 66. Much better for Sunday. Sun and clouds, high 78. If you're walking out the door with us right now, so happy you are. 59 clear in Sag Harbor, out on Long Island. 58 and clear in Elizabeth, over in New Jersey. And it's 55 and clear right outside our Midtown studios.
This is the Top 5 at 5.
The protests outside of New Jersey ICE detention center grow larger. A rocket launch goes all wrong in Florida. A deadly bike accident on the Queensboro has everybody talking. Is the mayor going to sit courtside with the president at the Garden? You can now legally go footloose in your local bar. All right, let's get into it at 5:04. This story just coming into us in the last couple hours or so, and it's going to impact the morning commute all morning long. Joe Nolan, of course, will come up with more on this story, but here's what we can tell you. An Amtrak work train caught fire on track 11 in the West Side rail yard just west of Penn Station early this morning. It was about 1:30 a.m. This engine burst into flames, sending black smoke into the surrounding area near 10th Avenue and 31st Street. The incident forced firefighters to call a second alarm, run hoses deep into the yard in underground stairwells to control this blaze. It was in a hard place to get to. So here's what we know so far. 5 railroad workers have been injured. They're being treated for smoke inhalation. We do not know the state of their injuries. 2 others apparently are in serious condition. Now, this is all kind of fluid as the information comes into us. Sometimes these numbers change, but definitely railroad workers were injured in this fire that took place at about 1:30 this morning. So you can imagine what this is going to do to the morning commute. And because of this, Amtrak Northeast Corridor regional trains, they're experiencing severe disruptions and cancellations right now. New Jersey Transit trains not going into Penn Station at this hour, though PATH is going to honor those tickets if you go to Hoboken and come in that way, or if you want to go into Newark Penn Station, transfer there, that will be honored as well. So it's going to be a mess. It looks like, at least for now, if you're somebody who can work from home on this Friday morning, you may want to do that because this doesn't look like it's going to be sorted out anytime soon. And we've been hearing from the MTA all morning long as well. LIRR going to be impacted too by the fact that they cannot go into Penn Station, though better for LIRR workers, they'll be able to make it into the city. You could either transfer in Jamaica or head into Grand Central, but there are right now no trains on the LIRR into Penn Station. WABC News Time 5:08. Let's go up to Washington Heights, where 3 people shot last night. Officers responding to West 162nd Fort Washington is about 9 o'clock for gunfire. When they arrived, they found there were 4 injured victims, including a male of an unknown age, gunshot wound to the foot. Another took a bullet to the leg. These are all teenagers, by the way. Another was shot in the leg, and another was slashed with a knife in the neck.
I have a kid, and he's, it makes me worry about, what goes on in the area. I should say by my doorstep because I'm here every day.
Yeah, they're all expected to recover, so that's the good news. The incident stemmed from a dispute apparently on the street. That, according to cops, no arrests have been made. Investigation was ongoing late into the night. Over in New Jersey, protests continue with armed federal immigration officers in front of that Newark, New Jersey detention center where they have been out there for days asserting that people that are being detained inside this ICE immigration center are staging a hunger strike over poor living conditions. Now, the Department of Homeland Security disputes that. The families of detainees and their supporters who are being held at Delaney Hall have been outside for more than a week. Yesterday, there were 5 arrests. Pepper spray was sprayed. Physical force was used as these protesters clashed with ICE agents. And then you have these lawmakers from across New Jersey who continue to show up at this demonstration. Yesterday, it was the mayor of Maplewood.
ICE needs to be abolished, and we need to start over again. They don't respect our rights. They don't respect anyone's rights.
New Jersey Governor Mikey Sherrill says state health officials were denied access to the facility to conduct an inspection yesterday. The Democrat says they were allowed to inspect only a very limited area. Again, 6 protesters arrested during this clash yesterday.
This is really about telling certain people that they do not belong here. This is not about public safety. This is not about enforcing our immigration laws.
Now, Washington, the White House, they're watching this very closely. The U.S. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche says prosecutions are coming as these protests continue.
I promise you that those rioters and the violence that we saw on our streets in Jersey the last couple days is not going to be tolerated.
Blanche says what's going on at Delaney Hall is not peaceful, but he calls it sick, illegal acts.
We have to have law enforcement. Remember, we're doing this with virtually no support from local law enforcement in New Jersey.
Now, he says enough is enough. These attacks against ICE officers can't continue.
Not only threatening the ICE officer, but think about how disgusting this individual is, threatening his family and his children with death.
Yeah, Blanche yesterday pointing out to what he says were chants from some of these protesters threatening to kill the officers and their families. 5:11. We have more information on the story we told you about early yesterday. This 23-year-old woman who was shot in the eye. University Heights yesterday. Police responding to the gunfire, Aqueduct Avenue on a playground. 23-year-old Reina Caceres was shot and killed during this incident. She was taken to St. Barnabas, where she did not survive. And now neighbors reacting to this. Some say they heard the gunfire early yesterday and they wish they had responded quicker to what was going on. They thought initially it was firecrackers because they say firecrackers are shot off so often in this neighborhood.
I hear about 4 or 5 shot. Firecracker, they used to most around here every day. But I hear it, I say, it's not firecracker. It's shotgun or something.
Yeah, he said he wished he had walked out of his home maybe to help this woman. The crime scene untouched for hours yesterday. We could see pictures of a white shirt with blood stains on it next to a liquor bottle, steps from a hookah. Some sort of party was going on in the park and it went all wrong.
Sometimes I be crossing at nighttime. I was just here yesterday. At nighttime, just going home, about to go home. But that was kind of shocking because I be crossing this way all the time.
Yeah, police so far say they have a couple leads, but have no motive and have made no arrests. 5:13. The NYPD says it's well prepared for this Sunday's Israel Day parade at a news conference yesterday with Mayor Mamdani, Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch. They talked about the rise in anti-Semitism since the October 7th attacks in Israel and in light of the Israeli and U.S. strikes on Iran. And that's why they say this parade will be protected in a way that it hasn't been before.
In that threat environment, to be blunt, we are not messing around with security at this year's parade.
Tens of thousands of people expected to line Fifth Avenue. There will be canine units, heavy weapons teams, drones, comprehensive screening at designated checkpoints.
We will not tolerate any disruptions to the parade. Any unauthorized persons entering the parade route will be arrested.
Mayor Mamdani was asked about potential protesters, Palestinian protesters at the parade.
In our city, we believe that protest is sacrosanct, as is the right to safety and security, and we will deliver all of those things. There are no current known specific or credible threats against the parade.
In this environment, the absence of a specific threat does not mean the absence of risk.
Now, Mamdani will be the first mayor in decades, actually the first ever, not to attend the Israeli parade. But Commissioner Tisch, she says she will be there. She's actually the event's grand marshal. We'll hear more about that coming up after 5:30. A sensational but awful sight down in Florida last night. A Blue Origin rocket exploded on the launch pad at Cape Canaveral. An engine test of this Blue Origin New Glenn rocket was taking place when officials say it experienced some sort of anomaly. Residents along Florida's Space Coast reported it shook their homes.
Oh, yeah, that blew up. That is not normal.
Yeah, company owner Jeff Bezos confirming the rocket was lost. There were no deaths or injuries. Nearby residents just shocked by the massive explosion.
I've never seen that. Me neither.
Yeah, the FAA, which regulates commercial space activities, did not respond for a comment. The incident comes just a day after NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman praised Blue Origin for playing a crucial role in the space agency's Artemis program, which is an effort to return American astronauts to the moon's surface by 2028. In a moment, we'll get into all these crazy explosions that have taken place in Washington, California, and now in Dallas. We'll get to those stories in just a moment. But first, 5:15, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk. Happy Friday. Good morning, Justin Eller.
Happy Friday. Good morning to you indeed. Noam Aladen. We'll start on the hardwood here. Final from San Antonio last night. Saw the Spurs beat up on the Thunder 118-91. Western Conference Finals Game 6. That series now knotted at 3 games apiece. Game scheduled for Game 7, I should say. Scheduled for tomorrow night in Oklahoma City. The winner, of course, will face our New York Knicks in the NBA Finals beginning Wednesday next week. Speaking of our Knicks, news breaking yesterday that center Mitchell Robinson has suffered a broken right pinky finger ahead of the NBA Finals, and there is
Did they say how he did that or not?
No, they didn't say how he did it. No timetable for his return. Obviously, there was that story, I'm not sure if it was, earlier this week that he was going through some mental health issues. Deleted all of his social media and all of his last posts on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of that being, this is going to be my last post on here for a while, taking a break until, some point in the off season, dealing with some mental health issues. And I mean, I don't know if that came from this pinky injury. Maybe he was, distraught that he might not be playing here in the NBA Finals, and he knew of it. And the team was trying to assess the situation and see if he could make a return. But, them saying there is no timetable for his return, I guess, is essentially them saying he's probably out for the NBA Finals.
The San Antonio series has been incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, the games haven't been that close, but the fact that it's going 7 games.
Back and forth like a seesaw here, yeah.
I mean, they destroyed him last night. Yeah. It wasn't even close.
No, Victor Wembanyama sat the last, 7 minutes of the game or something like that.
Yeah, so you would think that would, even though the game's going to be in Oklahoma City, that, they have the momentum maybe, but who knows? If you had to put your money on who's winning Game 7?
Listen, Game 7, you got to... In a series like this, like you said, it's been back and forth. The games have been pretty lopsided in terms of the winner of those games. But I'm taking the home team. I'm taking the OKC Thunder here in Game 7.
All right.
I think home court advantage here in a game like this, that's a big, big deal, especially in a series like this. So we'll see what happens tomorrow night. See who our Knicks will be facing next week. Let's look ahead. No baseball last night. Both of the local squads beginning their local weekend sets tonight. Mets will welcome in the Miami Marlins, 7:10 p.m. for the opener of a 3-game set. Freddie Peralta will get the start there, and the Yankees, they're out in Sacramento against the Athletics starting tonight at 9:40 p.m. Carlos Rodon will get the start there in the opener of a 3-game series as well. And looking ahead to the ice tonight, Stanley Cup playoffs. It's 8 p.m. Canadians and Hurricanes Eastern Conference Final, Game 5. Carolina leading the series 3-1. Of course, the winner meets Vegas in the Cup Finals. That is your Sports Know. Man, I'm Justin Alec on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 5:20. It has been a week of explosions, whether it be a factory. In this case, the latest one is out of Dallas, where an apartment gas explosion took place yesterday. 3, including a child, killed in this explosion, 5 injured. Firefighters called into this apartment complex right in the Oakland neighborhood about a gas leak. It seems the workers may have been there a short time before this explosion took place.
We can confirm that there are fatalities. We're still working through the recovery phase, so let us work through the recovery phase and give you a total number.
The apartment complex has 2 stories. It wasn't clear when this explosion took place how many people were at home at the time.
There are still phone calls that haven't been answered, and therefore it's still ongoing in terms of getting a total account for the number of people that are that live at this residence.
Yeah, so search efforts will continue. There could be more fatalities. They're bringing in heavy machinery this morning to help dig through the rubble. So far, 35 to 40% of the apartment debris has been checked out, so they have a long way to go. And then, of course, we've been following this story all weekend out of Longview, Washington, where the death toll continues to rise after this chemical tank imploded at a paper mill in Longview. Correspondent Morgan Chesky reports officials do not expect that they'll find any survivors anymore, that the people who are missing, which is down to, we're getting different numbers, 4 or 5, they're not alive.
Footage from inside the plant shows that in some cases it crushed vehicles, flipped over trucks, and that is what's making it difficult for crews to kind of get back into that area to locate the 9 employees that are still missing.
Now, the tank contained 900,000 gallons of the noxious chemical mixture used in making paper.
Federal investigators expected to be on site today to try to pinpoint the cause of that rupture. In the meantime, local officials are telling the public around this area to stay away from any water drainage areas, stressing that further testing needs to be done to ensure that there was not any significant contamination.
Yeah, so that's the story, too, is the release of 600,000 gallons of these chemicals from that packaging plant sent much of the material into a nearby dike system, and it flows over the city's aquifer that's about 200 feet below the surface and flooding the dike system. So now they're checking the water to make sure that it's safe to drink. Now, so far they're saying it is.
This is primarily an effort to get that water away from the drinking water wells.
And they say so far they think they've been able to do that. 5:23, and then there's the third explosion, or almost explosion. Residents, politicians demanding answers in California, want accountability after that chemical leak that forced 50,000 in Garden Grove, California last weekend out of their homes. The neighbors have been showing up at town council meetings saying this should have never happened in the first place.
Get that out in the desert or something, but away from people.
Many of the people unexpectedly out of their homes for 6 days as workers prevent a possible explosion. They think they have this under control now.
Basically, how can we make sure that this doesn't happen again? And that's my job.
Now, many in the local area say they've lost all kinds of money. Businesses have been shut down. They haven't been able to open.
We in the legislature are going to need to investigate and figure out what laws, what regulations are needed to make sure that this doesn't happen again anywhere in the state of California.
Yeah, but what a wild weekend it has been when it comes to explosions or near explosions. 5:24. Let's go down to Washington, where the White House says it has no update related to those multiple reports that say that U.S. and Iran have reached a deal to extend a ceasefire. On Thursday, you had the Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent talking about a whole bunch of different issues, essentially playing White House spokesperson, talking to reporters that they peppered him, of course, with questions about a potential U.S.-Iran ceasefire deal.
President Trump has made it very clear, he talked about it at the cabinet meeting, that he has several red lines. And Iran has to turn over their highly enriched uranium. They cannot pursue a nuclear weapon. This administration, President Trump, has done something that no other administration is able to do. We have gotten the Iranians to talk about their nuclear program and to perhaps commit to not having one. That has never happened before. It had been off the table.
Now, according to reports, the two nations have a 60-day memorandum of understanding that would reopen the Strait of Hormuz and start more intense negotiations on Iran's nuclear program down the road. That was a report yesterday, but as you heard from Scott Bessent there, it's not signed, sealed, deliver. And while he was up there being speaking, the White House spokesperson, the Treasury Secretary, was talking about the economy, and he claims it's in a good spot right now.
We had a historic tax filing season. We passed the largest tax cuts in American history. The average refund this filing season is nearly $3,300, an 11% increase from last year.
Now, Bessent highlighting the growth in 401k accounts. He says record U.S. energy exports and the popularity of the Trump accounts.
We've had sustained and resilient GDP growth. Real GDP has risen 2.6% over the past 4 quarters. Atlanta Fed's GDP now predicts 3.8% for this quarter.
But the Treasury Secretary's comments come on the same day that new inflation reports show consumer prices were at their highest level in nearly 3 years in April. The White House, one more, Scott Bessent, White House confirming that they are pushing to create a $250 bill with President Trump's face on it. Scott Bessent telling reporters yesterday that he's aware of the legislation that would allow a living president to be featured on U.S. paper currency. Normally, they're not allowed to be on paper currency until you're gone and underground.
Right now, there is proposed legislation in front of the House, in front of the Senate, to change the first requirement so that a living person, Donald J. Trump, could be on the $250 bill. So it's all in the hands of it's all up on Capitol Hill.
Yeah, so Congress would have to approve this $250 bill because it's the 250th anniversary of America.
As Treasury Secretary, I have 2 mandates for U.S. currency. At present, no living person can be on U.S. currency, and the currency must say, "In God we trust." We prepare things in advance, so we have prepared in advance that if the legislation is passed, but we will stick to the law.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Congress does with that.
The 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
On 77 WABC. You talk, we listen. This is Talk Radio 77 WABC. It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam.
On 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Friday, May 29th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Beautiful day on the way. Sun, clouds, high 79. Saturday would be the worst of the weekend. Partly cloudy. The high's only going to reach 66. Much better for Sunday. Sun and clouds, high 78. If you're walking out the door with us right now, so happy you are. 59 clear in Sag Harbor, out on Long Island. 58 and clear in Elizabeth, over in New Jersey. And it's 55 and clear right outside our Midtown studios. WABC News Time 541. Have some more details on what that breaking story that Joe's telling you about. So an Amtrak work train broke out in flames near Penn Station this morning, injuring 5 people. It is going to disrupt rail service likely for most of the day. So 2 alarm blazes about 1:30 this morning that the FDNY raced over to put this this car that caught fire, trying to douse this thing. 46 units showed up, about 140 personnel. 2 victims transported to Bellevue Hospital. They're in serious condition. There were 3 other people that were injured in this fire. We don't know how it started. They refused treatment at the scene. But because of this fire, they say some of the wiring was melted by the flames. So that suggests that it may be a while before you'll be able to take a rail ride into Penn Station, at least I would think for sure for the morning commute. But of course, Joe Nolan will stay on top of the story all morning long and give you the latest. 542. Terrible accident on the Queensboro Bridge yesterday. It was between 2 bikers. It happened as they were crossing the bridge. One, a 39-year-old man, was riding one of those stand-up motorized scooters. The other victim was a 35-year-old man who were on a bike. They were heading in opposite directions along the Queensboro when they hit each other hard. They were taken to Presbyterian Hospital in Queens, where they were both pronounced dead. Rachel, she knows the victim who was on the bike.
We talked to him about it to make sure he's always wearing his helmet, and I heard he did wear his helmet, but it's just a really bad collision.
Now, we now confirm the names of the victims, but she tells us her close friend Alan, who was the one on the bike, now leaves behind a wife and 2 kids.
His wife is in bad shape, especially with the kids. I can't imagine. Yeah, he was a really great husband to her, and they've been going out to vacations, exploring the whole world.
Yeah, so the bridge is one of the city's busiest when it comes to pedestrians and cyclists. In May of 2025, the former mayor, Eric Adams, along with the DOT, separated the groups between like walkers and riders, hoping that nothing like this would ever happen. But the lanes are only about 11 feet wide, and there are turns where you don't see where someone's coming from the other side. And bicyclists say they should not let these scooters onto the bridge because some of these scooters are capable. Can you imagine standing on a scooter that's capable of going 50 miles an hour? Well, there are some of those riding across Queensboro.
People take mopeds on them, on bike lanes. That's super dangerous.
Yeah.
Normally, I'm wearing my helmet. I'm trying to be careful. But it's people go too fast.
Yeah, just a terrible accident. Another terrible accident. A 12-year-old boy from Sag Harbor died while on his class's annual school rafting trip to the Poconos in Pennsylvania. Sag Harbor School District identifying the child as Cesar Gunshay. Coroner's office determined that the middle school student died from accidental drowning. So you can imagine they were all excited about going on this rafting trip. The raft he was on with 4 other people turned over as they were going down the river. 3 other students, or it was 5, so 4 other students were able to get out of the water, but this 5th student, Cesar Guncray, was not able to get out, and he drowned. Of course, a just terrible day at the school. Students reacting.
It was a river rescue because I watched the boats come in, and they put them on the river. So at that point, I knew there was something going on.
Yeah, that was somebody at the scene.
It's like very heavy. It's very upsetting, but I can't even imagine what the family feels like.
I know they've taken that trip many other times. My best friend went to Sag Harbor and nothing's happened, and it's just really, really sad.
Yeah, so parents picking up their kids yesterday say everybody's just completely heartbroken.
It's a tragedy.
Very sad. How old was he?
12.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, that's sad. That's awful.
He was only, how old? He was in 6th grade. Yeah, I think it's just really upsetting, and he shouldn't have lost his life that young.
Yeah, school counselors have been made available, will be made available again today at that school in Sag Harbor. 546, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk, and here's Justin Ella.
Thank you, Noah Maladen. Sports sponsored by Pete Morgan and Peerless Boilers. Go to peerlessboilers.com to find a dealer near you. Peerless Boilers, the world's best built boilers. Start on the hardwood out in San Antonio. Spurs beating the Thunder 118-91. Western Conference Finals Game 6 there. That series now knotted at 3 games apiece. Been back and forth the whole way through. Game 7 scheduled for tomorrow night in Oklahoma City. The winner will face our New York Knicks in the NBA Finals beginning Wednesday next week. Speaking of our Knicks, news breaking yesterday that center Mitchell Robinson has suffered a broken right pinky finger ahead of the NBA Finals, and there is no timetable for his return. Sources did tell ESPN. I'd be surprised if you do see him out there. Look ahead to MLB action tonight and this weekend. 7:10 p.m. tonight, the Mets will welcome in the Miami Marlins for the opener of a 3-game set. Freddie Peralta will start there. At 9:40 p.m. tonight, the Yankees are out west in Sacramento against the Athletics in the opener of a 3-game weekend set there as well. Carlos Rodon will start the opener for the Yanks. And looking ahead to the Stanley Cup playoffs tonight as well. 8 p.m. start for the Canadiens and the Hurricanes. Eastern Conference Final Game 5 there. Carolina leading the series 3-1. Winner, of course, meets Vegas in the Cup Finals. And Louis fed me this story coming out of the 5:15 break there. Noam Aladen.
What's that?
Claude Lemieux won the Stanley Cup 4 times during his memorable NHL career. He has died. He was 60. Died yesterday, according to the NHL Alumni Association and authorities. It was suicide. Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office said that deputies responded just after 3 a.m. to the scene of an apparent suicide at a furniture store showroom in Lake Park, Florida. The Sheriff's Office said the victim, Lemieux, of course, was believed to be Lemieux, and said he was found in a rear warehouse by one of his sons just 3 days before. He was the Montreal Canadiens torchbearer before Game 3.
Yeah, that's a terrible story. Jeez.
Oh, my God. Really, really sad. And then, obviously to be found by one of your sons. I mean, God, geez, that's scarred for life. So really unfortunate story coming out of the NHL, obviously, as we're about to head into the Stanley Cup playoffs. And rest in peace to the great Claude Lemieux. That is your sports, sponsored by Pete Morgan and Pillow Spoilers. Go to pillowspoilers.com to find a deal under you. Pillow Spoilers, the world's best bill spoilers. I'm Justin Alec on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 5:50. Remember yesterday we told you about these two dopey kids out in Bayville on Long Island. They were menacing drivers and they couldn't find them. In one case, they were able to get a driver to pull over, and then they took out baseball bats out of their own car and smashed up the car, at least hit it a number of times. Another time they scared a woman, really. I mean, she raced her car as fast as she could to a nearby fire station. Well, they caught up with these kids yesterday. They're both teenagers. One's 16, the other one's 17. They're going to face a host of charges. Everybody in Bayville, though, happy that they're off the streets.
Who came up with that?
Yeah.
You know, it's just, it's scary and it's sad.
If the police didn't step up, I think some of the residents probably would have.
She was probably terrified, as I would be as well.
Yeah, so Nassau County Police charging these two teenagers criminal mischief, criminal possession of a weapon, menacing, reckless endangerment. They were arraigned yesterday in Mineola and were issued orders of protection. Back here in the city, Mayor Mamdani asked one more time yesterday, "You sure you're not going to the Israel Day parade on Sunday?" And he says, how many times do I have to answer that question?
I said on the campaign trail that I wouldn't be attending the parade, and I've made my views on the Israeli government abundantly clear. The
mayor, police commissioner Jessica Tisch, holding a news conference yesterday announcing the ramped up security in light of everything going on in the world for the parade. Mayor Mamdani says his decision not to attend has no impact on parade security.
I take seriously my responsibility to protect the safety and well-being of every New Yorker and every event, regardless of my attendance.
Police commissioner was asked what she thought about Mayor Mamdani's choice to skip the parade on Sunday.
It's the mayor's decision not to march, and it is my decision to march proudly.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty great answer. While we're talking Mayor Mamdani, he was also asked about the fact that President Trump is likely going to come to the Garden for one of the NBA Finals games. We're still, of course, waiting to see who we're going to play. So what does he think about that?
Anyone who wants to come and watch the Knicks and pray that Landry keeps making those threes and we see Captain Clutch out there on the court, I think everybody should be welcome there.
Yeah, so it'll either be game 3 or 4 that you'll see the president. So he's also asked, what about sitting courtside with the president? Would you want to sit next to him, watch the game?
If the president comes to watch the Knicks, I'll leave the president to watch the Knicks as he wants to watch the Knicks.
Sounds like he doesn't want to sit next to him. And then you had New Yorkers weighing on this. Do they want to see the president at the Garden for one of the NBA Finals games?
I'm not sure how to feel about that. It's the Knicks game. Who don't love the Knicks? It's okay. If he likes it, he likes it.
It's going to be a distraction for him enjoying the game,
So you're saying the president of the United States going to MSG to watch the Knicks play the game? Sheesh.
Okay. It was Governor Hochul, though, who went viral. You may have seen this, where she talked about the fact that she was really proud and happy about the 1993 championship Knick team. Of course, there wasn't a 1993 championship Knick team. That video went viral everywhere. New Yorkers responding to that and the president's appearance at the Garden.
We don't like the guy already, but I guess it's kind of cool. You need to stay safe, though, because, people are going to go crazy when the Knicks win, so.
Doesn't really bother me. Not at all. New York just needs something to be happy about, so they're kind of taking it further, but what can you do?
Yeah, of course. 554, a Queens man facing charges after he allegedly helped steal over $100,000 worth of Pokemon cards. Can you imagine that there's Pokemon cards that are worth tens of thousands of dollars? I still find that comical, but they're so valuable that we've seen this over the last couple months. We've told you these stories where people go into these collectible trading card stores that have popped up all over the city with baseball bats, smash open the glass cases and steal these cards, and then of course resell them on the Pokemon market, which is worth all kinds of money. So they actually caught up with one of the people involved in a number, they say, of robberies of Pokemon cards. I guess you have to know which Pokemon cards are valuable. I mean, I guess if it's in a glass case, it's probably worth something. It's like grabbing jewelry, I guess. The same thing. Probably the same type of thing. You go into a jewelry store, they smash open the cases, they grab jewelry. In this case, it's Pokemon cards, but it still sort of boggles the mind that these are so valuable. Now, one of the stores that this individual, he's a 28-year-old Andy Palakos, who was arrested. She said it was an intense moment when he allegedly came in with some others to steal Pokemon cards from her.
They were all brandishing firearms. They pointed them in the faces of my employees and my customers, and then they, like clockwork, went to our high-end display where we keep all of our most valuable items. They smashed the display. They looted over $100,000 worth of merchandise.
Yeah, so Andy David Palakos, probably not going to see the light of day for a while. He'll face trial soon. And we'll end with this story out of Boonton, New Jersey, where they've had this issue of whether to put the pride flag on the official flagpole outside Town Hall in Boonton, New Jersey. It was a battle last year, and I think in the end they ended up putting up the pride flag, so they wanted to do it again this year.
So the other half of us that just wanted that singular flag in that singular place for the month of June. We're just supposed to fade into the darkness, I suppose.
So what happened in this case is all the city council members voted to say, okay, yeah, you can put the pride flag up on the flagpole this year. But the mayor said, no, I'm not going to let you fly the flag. And he has the ultimate say. So no pride flag over Boonton, New Jersey this year.
That flag to me represents the LGBTQ community, but it also is a symbol of safety and inclusion.
Yeah, so Democrats run the town council in Boonton, but in Boonton, the Republican mayor, he's a Republican, has the final say. So he says this year, no flag. He said just the American flag should fly on those flagpoles.
Thanks for listening to the News Hour with Noam Laden. You can hear the News Hour with Noam Laden weekday mornings at 5 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?